Hey guys, what's up? Tom Clancy's Division 2 beta is right around the corner, and I want to talk to you guys about some of the skills we can expect to see in Division 2. Based on an article, a gameplay interview we saw from a dev, we can expect 5 main skills or gadgets to play with. 1. A chem launcher, 2. A drone, 3. Hive, 4. A seeker mine, and 5. A turret. Now it sounds like we've got some fun new toys to play with, and I'm excited to see how well they reflect the game is played. One thing that Division 2 is really focusing on this time is how the skills can be used both offensively and defensively. Now the best way to explain all this would be to talk about each skill and their mods separately. So first up we have the chem launcher, and the chem launcher is like a mini grenade launcher, but it shoots canisters of gases instead of grenades, which leaves a disbursement of clouds that can have a devastating effect depending on the chemical shot. Now there are 4 major chemicals or 4 major mods that go to the chem launcher. One is the fire starter. Now the fire starter sends out a near invisible cloud of flammable gases. These gases can then be ignited by any spark, whether it be by an explosion, a bullet, enemies shooting their own weapons, or even you catching an enemy on fire and having them run into the gases. Combine these with a few multiple clouds and you can really do some heavy damage. Next thing would be the riot foam, which fires a foam that expands on impact. It's sticky, it's heavy, and it hardens quickly. Anybody stuck in its path is stuck in place for a period of time. However, the foam can be broken up to break them free. Think of this kind of like ice or something like that. You know, you're kind of frozen, you can't really move. Last but not least is the oxidizer, and it fires a cloud of corrosive chemicals. This chemical is highly corrosive and eats away any armor or mechanical items. Now, I would assume that this would mean that it could potentially destroy drones, shields, and turrets to keep a sort of balance, but I'm not 100% sure on that just yet. Hopefully as the beta comes out, we will be able to see that and get to test some of those theories. Finally is the reinforcer. Now it shoots an armor repairing cloud that slowly regenerates armor for a short period of time. You can also use this as a healing station, as if any of the clouds get shot on the ground and the powder sticks, it becomes a healing port station. However, I don't think this powder lasts forever, so you have to use it wisely. Now the chem launcher uses a wide range of attacks and defensive abilities, which is some of the new changes we can expect to see in the upcoming game, but that's just one of their skills. Next we have is the drone. Now the drone is one of the ones I'm actually super pumped for. It's a shoulder drone that can be deployed and follow you around or used to target enemies or friends, and this drone has 5 main mods. Now the first mod is the Striker mod, and this is a drone equipped with a turret that can fire bullets and can be used to attack select targets. The next mod is the Defender, or a defensive drone that protects their agent and can be used to protect friends or friendly skills. This turret uses a microwave burst to deflect bullets, which creates an invisible barrier, but it does drain the battery quicker as each bullet is deflected. However, it cannot deflect its own self, so it must be protected at all costs, otherwise your enemies or other players can shoot it down. The third one is the Technician, which is used for a sharpshooter specialist, but we will cover that more in another video. This drone basically gives a radar or tracks players around you from an elevated height, giving you the eyes in the sky. The fourth is the Bomb Barrier, and this uses a bombing run and strays from one end to the other, dropping bombs, which is really cool and causes a lot of explosions. Now the fifth and final mod is the Fixer or Repairing Drone, and they can either fly next to you and repair your armor, or they can fly over to a friendly target and skills and repair their armor. And what I like about all of these different mods is both in the drones is that they can be used either tactically offensively or defensively as well. And I'm really excited to use these and see just how well they're going to hold up in the game. The third skill is the Hive. Now the Hive is a group of charged micro drones in a hive-like container that can either be placed on the ground or thrown, which does a special effect in that radius. This Hive has 4 different mods that really choose the effect of what happens when it is thrown or placed on the ground. Now the first mod is the Stinger. The Stinger uses a micro drones that shoot out and damage anything in its range, inflicting damage by destroying weak spots efficiently, and it uses mainly to break down heavy armor and weaken an agent or enemy. The second mod is the Restore, and the Restore is micro drones that when deployed detect missing armor and on impact can restore a certain amount. These are really good to really help you in the battlefield when you're playing against other players and your armor keeps getting destroyed. Quick little boost and you're good to go. Now speaking of boost, the third mod is the Booster. This sends out micro drones that can boost or act like as a stimulant to increase combat efficiency. Now the combat efficiency can change from a wide variety. This can mean that it could increase movement speed, weapon handling, or other physical capabilities. Now the last mod for the hive mind is the Reviver. Now when deployed, they can revive a downed agent within a specific radius on the ground. You can charge these drones up and they can revive their fallen allies with even more health and armor, which really makes this game a lot better as it allows for healing to be on the fly, and you don't really necessarily have to go walk all the way over to your teammate to go pick them up, when you can just go chunk one of these mines and charge it up a little bit and hopefully get your teammate back up to health. I think this is a really bright idea, and I really can't wait to see how this is actually going to play in the game coming up. As you can see, each mod has their own abilities and really help to change the game in their unique way. The next up is the Secret Mine and the turrets, and I gotta say these guys pack a heavy punch. Now the next skill is one of the skills that we've seen before, and this is the Secret Mine. Much like in Division 1, you throw it on the ground and it seeks its enemies, except this time you have to choose your chosen target. It then tracks down this target as long as it's within range, and the rest really depends on the mod chosen. Now there are 4 main mods to choose from, and we'll go through these in depth. The first one is the Explosive, also known as the Classic Seeker, that explodes after reaching its select target after the short timer goes off. Note that because of this timer, these things can be avoided, so be careful when using them. The second mod is the Airburst. Now the Airburst is a really cool one. It kind of reminds me of the Bouncing Betty. It rolls to a certain area and it bursts as an explosive cloud at head height when an enemy reaches its proximity. Think of this sort of like a mine that you would set down on the ground and wait till somebody walks by. This thing can be really impactful. Pair this up with a Chem Launcher and you've got yourself a really fun game to play with. Speaking of the Chem Launcher, the next mod is the Mender. Now the Mender is used only by the Survivalist Specialist, and again we will talk about that in another video. Mainly this one is used similar like the Chem Launcher, and it shoots out a chemical that can repair your armor or ally. The only good thing about this though is that if you do not have a chosen target ally, it will automatically choose the ally with the lowest armor levels and automatically heal them. Now the fourth and final mod for the Secret Mine is the Cluster. Now the Cluster is used kind of like a cluster bomb. Each drone chooses a target to hit. However, once it shows the target, it cannot readjust their location, so you have to make sure that your enemies are pinned down, otherwise they won't do as much of a decent damage as they would normally do upon impact. Now, as you can see, these are some really fun mods to use with the Secret Mine. But the next one up is probably one of my favorite skills that I think is going to be the most interesting one to use, and that has to be the turn. Now, if you thought the other 3 skills or 4 skills were fun, this one is probably the most interesting one above all of them. And this is probably the one I'm most excited to use because this turret can be thrown from a short distance, or it can be placed right next to you and can really set up a nice area for defending or attacking offensively. And there are 4 main turrets to choose from. The first is the Assault. Now this one's sort of like the Striker's drone, except it's mounted with a 360-degree rotating machine gun, and it can choose its targets closest to it while in combat. Out of combat, however, you can choose which area you want the turret to shoot, and it can shoot its targets from there. Now the second one is the Incinerate, and this one sounds really bad to the bone just because it really is. It's basically a flamethrower on steroids, and it can do a heavy damaging area once it's turned on. Again, turned on meaning that it can be toggled on and off when deployed too. Now this makes me really excited because of all the fun traps you can set up by taking maybe, I don't know, a Chem Launcher, throwing around some little explosive gases, and then just turning on a, I don't know, say an incendiary turret and catching everything on flames, just, whenever you feel like it. I think this is going to set up some really fun traps, and I'm excited to see how this is going to go. Now the next one up is the Artillery. Now the Artillery is the same thing where you have to press the button to fire it. And when you fire this thing, this shoots out an exploding ordnance shells towards your targeted location. Really dropping down almost rain from hell, basically, if you think about it. Now the fourth one is probably the most coolest one I think of all, and this is called the Sniper. It is a long-range, semi-automatic turret that can target the same enemy you are engaging. This will also match your aim to the target and will adjust according to match the delay. Now this kind of sounds like some fun double headshots. Imagine hitting your target, bam, right? Then all of a sudden your turret matches your location and goes bam. A double headshot? That sounds pretty dope. Now this is everything we can expect to see in the upcoming game Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Now keep in mind that this game is still being worked on, and we can have a better idea of what to expect when the beta releases on February 8th through the 10th. Now I'm really pumped to see how these new skills will be used and the new combos we can use to unleash some devastating damage. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, what skills you're looking forward to use. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe as we will be posting more Division 2 news as it releases. This has been Flared Apollo, and I'll see you in the next one.